Hello and welcome to Gadget Joe, and today we're taking a look at a rather nice little 67 key keyboard. When it comes to keyboards, for the channel I've reviewed a lot of keyboards, and I've got a lot of keyboards coming as well. And this one isn't a little bit different to the others because I was approached by a company called Elmway. Now Elmway, they basically said to me, do you want to review our keyboard? We're very confident that you're going to like it, and it's a very good price point considering the specifications. So obviously I naturally said yes, send it over, and I have the white one, which is actually called the Blue Sea. That's because it's a white keyboard with lots of blue and purple colours on it and a big bold purple backplate as well. We also have, I'm going to butcher the name of this, I think it's the Nezuko Purple, which is actually a pink keyboard with lots of purple accents and a purple back on this one. And these are a brand that you probably most likely find on the likes of Amazon. Currently you can pick these up for around the £60 to £70 price mark, and I will obviously leave a link in the description down below so that you can check one out for yourself if you do like it and you want to get one. Now this specific keyboard is the Elmway KZZI K68 Pro. It's probably KZZI or something like that, but it's pretty hard to pronounce, so I'm just going to call it the KZZI. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to call it the K68 Pro. As I mentioned, it is a 67 key, 65% compact keyboard. That means it doesn't have a numerical pad on the side of it. It is a fully wireless unit as well, with the options to be able to connect it to your computer if you need to via a wire. Now what I'm going to do before I dive into the full specs of it is basically show you the unboxing experience of it to see exactly what you get in the box, and then when it's done with that we're going to talk about a few of the key specs and see how well it types, and then basically give you my findings at the end of that. But obviously it's the Elmway K68 Pro mechanical keyboard. As you can see, it's quite a nice presented box. It's got a nice little drawn illustration image on the front here with some branding on the left, and then obviously some certifications at the top left here. If you go down to the sides, you'll start to notice where they have some little sentences written on here. I'm not really 100% sure why they're there, but they have a nice little look as well, and when it's obviously mounted on your shelf or stored on your shelf, it'll look quite nice. It's nice and bold. And on the top here you have some key information about the product itself, along with the barcode. And then on the other side it is just simply a K68 Pro mechanical keyboard part. And then on the back there's not really a lot to the back. It's just a plain white back with some information about the manufacturer of the keyboard, and then obviously the importer name. That's the one who sent it over to me. And that's pretty much it for the box itself. It's quite plain, simple, but really quite nice and elegant as well at the same time. Definitely doesn't feel like a £60 to £70 keyboard. It feels like a much more premium one. So once we open this, you get presented with a information sheet which has a little nice message from the manufacturer as well. Thank you for choosing KZZI products. Again, I'm probably butchering that, but on this side it is also the user manual for the keyboard with a lot of extra functions and obviously shortcuts for Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, anything that you wish to connect to a keyboard to. Then you have a nice plastic covering that basically protects the keyboard itself. It's not massively strong, but the cardboard structure around it actually is quite well put together so that it really does protect the keyboard in transit. Now the keyboard itself is packaged in a frosted polythene bag, which is nice to see, and then obviously you get the keyboard itself. The keyboard is absolutely stunning. As you've seen multiple times on the video, it looks absolutely phenomenally good. Those colours absolutely pop. They're very vibrant, they're very bright. Same again on the back. You have that full purple backplate here with some blue accents to support the blue colours on the keys here. Now the keys themselves feel fantastic. They have a nice, bright, bold legend on them that is really, really legible and nice and easy to see. And then obviously you've got all your function keys and your shortcut keys on the bottom part of each key. So the legend is written along there as well. So all you have to do for that is press the function key and any of those there. You do have this little twisty knob on here, as you can see, and that's basically turns it on. So it's turned off at the moment, turns it on to wireless or Bluetooth modes. And overall, it is a fantastic built keyboard. Move that to the side, and then you get the rest of the box. In the rest of the box, you get a little compartment here that houses a USB-C cable. Now this USB-C cable, it would have been nice to see maybe a braided cable, but again, that's just being a little bit fussy. You can, with it being a detachable cable, then upgrade it to a braided cable if you do wish to do so. It is a USB-C cable, as you can see here, and on the end here you have a USB-A port, but what you can do if you don't want to use that, you can use the USB-C, which is added on as an adapter at the end. It's a nice long cable, so you've got plenty of length to go from your computer to your desk, so that you can obviously plug it in and either charge it or use it via the wire. You then also get a keycap puller. Now the keycap puller is quite standard. You've got one side which helps to pull the keys themselves off, and then you have a switch puller on the other side, which is a little bit more robust, and that basically grips the switches from the side and lets you pull them out of the board. And then last but not least, you get 4 extra moment linear switches included in a bag as well, so you can replace them on the board if you do wish to do so. And that is pretty much it for the unboxing. There's nothing else other than that. So it's quite a simple unboxing experience, but a very nice one nonetheless. So as you can see, the unboxing experience is very good. It's a really nice, premium feeling, rather nice experience overall. And obviously the keyboards themselves look absolutely fantastic. Now I really like the design of these. Now you'll often find some of the, I wouldn't call this a cheaper, but offering, I'd probably say it's more middle of a range. You can get some keyboards with some really hefty price tags, and maybe eventually I'll get some of them in for the channel so that we can really see the difference and try and justify why you'd pay a huge amount more for the price of them. But this one is absolutely fantastic. It feels really nice and solid in your hand. Now I know you're not going to be carrying it around like this. It is designed to be sat down. It does feature 2 legs on the back that are adjustable twice as well, so that you can go in 2 different heights, or alternatively you can just have it flat down on the back as normal. And it does have a good level of tilt on the keys already, so that it's quite comfortable to use. Now you don't have an included wrist rest on this one, and you don't really get that on many keyboards nowadays, because generally speaking, with a level of adjustment, you don't really need them as much. It does have 4 rubber feet on the back as well, so that it keeps it into position, and then it really holds its position when on your desk. Now on the back, some of you will have noticed as well, this USB dongle here, and it is nice and neatly hidden away. It can be stored on there as well if you're not using the wireless function, and this is what you would connect to your computer. It is labelled KZZI as well, so you know exactly what it is, because there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than having loads of wireless peripherals and none of them have got branding on, so you never know which one's which. I've got a bucket over there that I keep a lot of my spares, and I must have about 15 of them, and I have no clue what keyboard or mouse they're connected to, and it's just a bit of a nightmare. So fair play to Elmway for adding the branding on here. Now obviously this does function wirelessly. There are 2 different modes. There's 5.1 Bluetooth, so it's some of the latest generation Bluetooth, meaning that it works up to 10 meters away from whatever the source is, whether it be your phone or your computer or a tablet, whatever you want to connect it to. And then obviously you have wireless, which is in the sort of form of 2.4 gigahertz. Now this is effectively a Wi-Fi signal that's produced by this dongle, and it does run on the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum, so that you should have a decent amount of range on that. The range is estimated up to 10 meters again, but it can be hampered by different factors such as walls or whatever you've got on your desk, anything like that. But generally speaking, you're not going to be that far away from whatever it is that you've got a keyboard connected to. And it does obviously, as you've seen in the box, have a USB-C cable as well, so that you can connect it to your computer via the cable if you wish to do that. Now when you do have it connected to the computer or whatever you plugged it into via the USB cable, it will charge the battery, because it does have a 2000 milliamp hour battery built into the unit. There's no removable batteries here. You don't have to keep swapping AA or AAA batteries. It is a inbuilt battery in here, and it's very nice to see, and it does generally last quite long, I don't know what the intended range is in terms of usage, but I had it running for probably a good week and a half before I found that I needed to put it on charge again, and I do use my computer quite a lot for this sort of stuff. The K68 Pro is indeed a mechanical keyboard. It doesn't feature any cherry switches, but there's a little loophole in this, which actually I think is quite a nice addition. Now, the keycaps that you have on here are really nice quality feeling. They are double walled as well, so that they have a really solid legend on them that is ultra clear. The keys feel very, very nice, especially when you're typing on them. They have a really solid feel to them. But the actual switches themselves, and you get 4 included in the box as well. So, and then if you do want to switch them out, you have some options to do so. Now, these are moment linear switches. They are pre-lubed switches, and they are actually surprisingly nice to use. They are, as the name would suggest, a linear switch. And they do have a 40-gram operation force, which is actually quite nice to use. It does have a level of resistance to it, which is really nice and reassuring, and it offers a really nice tactile bump to it when you press the keys in. Now, it does have a 3.4mm travel input as well, so that it's quite a deep set keycap. Now, the advantage of the K68 Pro, as I mentioned a few moments ago, is that it has a little hidden feature. If you take the keycaps out, you actually have a 3-pin or a 5-pin port already included, so that you can actually add cherry switches to it if you do wish to do so. So if you have an existing keyboard that's looking a bit old and a bit battered, and you don't really get on with these moments key switches, then you can basically take the key switches out of the existing keyboard and replace them into here. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do that. These switches actually perform really, really well, and you often find a lot of the non-cherry switches nowadays perform just as well, in fact, on some occasions, better than the cherry MX switches. And these are definitely one of them that fit in the latter category. This is probably one of the nicest keyboards that I've used in a long time. I've been using this for a couple of weeks now, and it is absolutely fantastic. It's got a really nice tactile bump to it. The keys feel really nice and solid. The typing overall feels fantastic, and it's not too noisy, as you're about to hear now. What I'll do is I'll try and turn the microphone around a little bit, and you'll get a good idea. Now, being a mechanical keyboard, it is noisy. They are all quite noisy. You can get some quite quiet switches, but generally speaking, they are a noisy keyboard compared to the likes of your typical membrane keyboards. So I'll type a few things. I'm not going to actually type anything because obviously it's not connected to anything, but you'll get a good idea of what it's like to hear. And there you go. As you can hear, it's got a really nice sound to it, and it does bottom out quite nicely. And you'll also have heard that the spacebar has a really satisfying clunk to it. So if I press this now, and it's also a very solid noise. It's a single noise as well, because they do feature silicone dampening pads inside there and some additional little supports to really keep it all in one place. And it means that there's no accidental presses. And also, when you're pressing it, it doesn't feel like it's going to flip up one side or the other. Overall, they have really done a fantastic job of the keyboard design and the build quality on the units here. Now, it does feel nice and substantial, and it does feel really solid. It is a bit of a heavy keyboard, but that's mostly because of a large battery in there, a 2000 milliamp hour battery, but it feels really solid. It does have a level of flex, as I don't know if you can get it on the camera there. It does have a little level of flex, but not enough to make it feel like a cheap product, and it definitely doesn't make you feel a bit not sure about the quality of this. It still feels fantastically nice and well built. Now, the design wise is obviously, as I mentioned earlier, in different colours. It is effectively a white keyboard on this one, or a pink one on that one, with some dark blue legends on here. And then you have the slightly lighter blue around in the certain function keys, and then obviously on the enter, escape, and your directional keys, you have a nice purple look. And the same again on this one, it'll be different shades of purple. Now, the back is a really nice striking colour, and around the edges you have the white design with a slightly lighter light blue colouring around the edge, and it really does feel like a nice keyboard. A lot of you will have noticed as well this little dial here, this little knob, and it is a really quite substantial feeling. It does look a bit cheap. That is about the only thing that lets this down. I think if they took away the chrome effect, the polished silver effect, it would really finish this off quite nicely. That's about my only criticism I've got from the design of it. But nonetheless, it's functional and it does feel quite solid. Now what it does is it cycles through the different modes, because this is, as I mentioned, a tri-mode keyboard. Because another little key feature that the K68 Pro offers is that you can connect up to 3 different devices at the same time. So if you have a phone connected to it, and a laptop connected to it, and a desktop PC connected to it, you don't have to faff about switching through the profiles. All you have to do is click through 1, 2 or 3 and it will automatically connect to whichever one you've got the profile set at. A very, very nice addition. And obviously it will also work if you plug the cable straight into it. It's a USB-C connection, so it's got quite a good compatibility and a really nice solid charging point in there. You will notice that there is 2 USB-Cs as well, one right next to each other, and the first one has a little computer device logo at the top, and that's what connects to the computer or the input device. And then next to it is a little USB dongle, and that's because this is a USB-C pass-through. You can effectively add a storage drive or charge something else if you wish to do so, but it's going to be a very limited power delivery on that, so you're not going to get a fast charge from that at all. It is RGB backlit as well, which is quite difficult to see. It's really not very bright RGB lighting, but it is very nice and subtle. And obviously once it's connected to your computer, you can program that as well. And alternatively, you can flip through the different modes by clicking the function key and then pressing these functions here to increase the brightness or change the lighting mode. In a darker room, it will definitely look nice and bright, and it does give a nice subtle glow, and it really does do a great job of not taking away too much of the attention of the keyboard. You often find that a lot of keyboards that have RGB is quite aggressive, and that's just not the case with the K68 Pro. The RGB is very subtle. It looks fantastic. In a darker room, obviously, it's very much more noticeable, but it looks absolutely fantastic. It is really, really well laid out and positioned so that it looks nice and clean. And that's pretty much it. A really, really solid offering by Elmway. Not a very expensive keyboard either, picking them up for around 60 to 70, maybe £75. But generally speaking, I've seen these for sale around a £65 price mark. Very, very well priced, and definitely something I can recommend. The build quality is absolutely fantastic. It looks better than just your plain, boring black or white keyboard with all those extra little colours on there. And it just feels really nicely made. They've put a lot of thought into the design of this. Now, the keycaps are really quite chunky. They're a little bit thicker than a standard keycap, and they're a little bit bigger than a standard keycap. But with that said, they feel really good to use. In fact, they almost remind me a little bit of the old dice that you used to get with the board games, and that you have that really solid feel to them. And overall, I've been really, really impressed. And despite the fact that I've got multiple other keyboards, this seems to be one that I keep turning back to. And that's pretty much it. So as usual, I will leave a link in the description down below so that you can go and check it out for yourself, or alternatively pick one up for yourself. You're not going to be disappointed with this. The fact that you can switch out those switches as well for other options on the market is really a nice little touch. And then obviously you get some additional ones as well. And the tri-mode connectivity modes with up to 3 different profiles on Bluetooth really make this a viable contender if you're looking for a new keyboard and you don't want to break the bank and you're looking for something a little bit different. You're not going to be disappointed with the typing experience on this, and overall it's a really fantastic offering. Very, very impressed with this, and it gets a solid thumbs up from me here at Gadget Joe. And that's pretty much it. So I've been Gadget Joe. This has been the Elmway KZZI K68 Pro in white and pink, and until next time, goodbye.